Communication is the process of sharing information. The communication process includes the sender, the message or messages, the receiver, also known as the recipient. The sender creates and gives the messages through written words, spoken words, or body language. How do we send messages? We can send messages through oral communication. That means we actually speak using our mouth, our tongue, our teeth, the lips. That's oral communication. We can also send messages through written communication or through body language, as we would have discussed. Do you remember our previous discussions about things being explicitly stated versus some things being implied? Well, sometimes we say something and our intention is to say just that one thing, but the one thing we say can mean so much more, or we could be implying so much more through that very thing. Even our tone of voice can imply something more than what the actual words are saying. In that case, the sender has given more information than he or she intended to give. It's now up to the recipient to process the information, interpret it, make sense of it, and provide feedback. Let's look at the receiver. The recipient is the one who interprets the message through listening, reading, or observation. So, the recipient will have received the message. But how do they get the messages? How do we get messages? We experience messages through our sensory organs. Yes, we experience all messages through at least one of our sensory organs. We can hear, see, feel or touch, and even taste the evidence that we're experiencing. All our sensory organs have pathways to the brain. These pathways will send the messages to the brain, and the brain will then make sense of it. But how exactly do we interpret the messages? Our mind makes sense of the details, whether they are words or actions. So, whatever we have seen, whatever we have heard, whatever we have read, whatever we have felt, even what we smell, our mind will make sense of it. Do you remember what we learned in previous lessons about neurons and synapses? Maybe you need to revisit that lesson if you can't recall. Anyways, the brain will naturally make a connection with what is presently being presented to anything in your memory that has even the tiniest relation. So, if we're seeing a dog, and for some strange reason, we are seeing this dog with a red bow, our mind will make sense of not just what a dog is, but it will also make sense of what a red bow could signify. And naturally, our brain will just start pulling on those synapses. The connections will be made even as the neurons connect and make even more synapses. So once the neurons connect, they will instantly recall in our memory any little relation of a red bow that we have seen before, or a dog with a red bow, or a dog with anything tied to it to that matter. And we will be able to process the details. Now, let's look at the role that communication plays in critical thinking. So we're used to communicating with others. But did you know that the more conversations we have with others, the more we open our mind to different perspectives? Yes. By communicating with others, we're able to open our mind to multiple points of views. When we are open to more points of views, we readily accept that what we think might not be factual. We also readily appreciate that whatever others say maybe based on evidence as well. This will help us to think more widely. Over time, we will learn that even when we are alone, we can pull on the information that others previously shared. However, if we were not speaking with others, we would not have anything to pull on. Our brains will come to realize that we have prior knowledge of persons' perspectives on different topics, and our brain naturally pulls on those information that we gain from others. So, if we don't have conversations with others, we will limit our critical thinking development. If we don't have conversations with others, we limit our critical thinking development. I don't think I can stress that anymore. Now, there are some of us who don't like to have face-to-face conversations. That's fine. We can have text conversations. We can also read books. That's conversations. It's us interpreting what someone else has presented in writing. Start a conversation with a good writer. Start conversations even within your cell phone. Rather than say, okay, I don't like to meet with people, speak over the phone. Send a text message. Ask someone about their opinion on a matter. It does not have to be face to face. But the more we foster conversations with others, the more we extend our critical thinking skills. Do you talk to yourself though? Can an introvert really develop critically? Yes. If you talk to yourself, you may be familiar with the term intrapersonal communication. Whether or not you knew that terminology, you are actively engaging in intrapersonal communication whenever you speak to yourself. With intrapersonal communication, you become both the sender and the receiver of the messages. Intrapersonal communication is also known as self-talk and inner speech. Nothing is wrong with talking to yourself in order to help you to better understand things that you are processing in your mind. Nothing at all is wrong with that. Intrapersonal communication works well in defining your problem-solving skills. By practicing self-talk, you train your brain to create solutions without having to rely on others. And that is a useful skill to have because we are sometimes alone and we have to be able to figure out things on our own. Now, if it is that you practice talking to self, gradually, you will not even realize that you're speaking to yourself. Quite frankly, it will seem as if you're having real conversations with others. Are you the type to look in the mirror and speak to yourself? Or are you the one who process all the thoughts, respond to them, and even ask yourself questions? That's fine. It's called self-talk. It's called intrapersonal communication. It's called inner speech. There is also a concept known as intrapersonal intelligence. Intrapersonal intelligence is the ability to explore one's mind and feelings. When you develop intrapersonal intelligence, you are able to better understand how you think and you are able to use such knowledge in managing your life. Let us train our minds. Yes, we can broaden our minds. When thinking critically, we must note all the evidence and consider all that is implied. Sometimes our memory gets challenged, and although we want to think deeply, we may find that we struggle at times to recall some basic things. In those moments, we just have to be patient with ourselves and make a mental note to check our memory later. You can literally tell your mind that you will rest the matter for now. And you can tell your mind, listen, I'm going to return to this later. Tell your mind, I would appreciate that while I'm consciously resting this matter, I want you to subconsciously find the data that I had put in my brain. Yes, talk to your mind.